Mr. Chowdhury, you have signed a pact with ABB for railway propulsion system. Can you just talk to us about that? What does ABB bring on the table and how does Titagarh help in the execution?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. So we've signed this agreement with ABB for the propulsion system. So in our transit business, whether we were doing the passenger trains both in India and in Europe, we've been traditionally doing our own propulsion system, but it follows a different kind of technical specification. So this agreement with them, with the ABB, enables us to start manufacturing the Indian 25 kVA propulsion system for EMU and MEMU, that is the commuter and the regional trains, in-house. So for our own consumption as well as supplying for the Indian Railways. We'd already received an order about a year ago. This is basically to accelerate the presence into the propulsion business in India.
Right. When we just talk about execution in railway, when we just talk about, what's happening with the railways, the capex, how do you expect the capex to be impacted of railway because of this COVID-related lockdown, the sort of problems that you're seeing in operations across infrastructure?
In my opinion, you see, there are two ways to look at it. One is the immediate short term. Of course, the impact has been very severe and adverse. But if you look at the long term, on the freight side, so in the railways, we are present in both the passenger and the freight side in rolling stock, essentially. So on the freight side, it is directly connected with the GDP and the economic growth. And if you look at what railways have done, they have invested in the last 5-6 years hugely on the infrastructure, which means essentially they have created capacity. And in order to service that debt, the railways have actually borrowed money in order to build that capacity. And in order to service that debt, they will have to utilize capacity, which means they will require more and more of rolling stock. So I do not see that there will be a challenge in the mid to long run in terms of the demand scenario, because the payback return on investment for railways on the rolling stock is extremely attractive. So I don't see that as a challenge. As far as the passenger side of the rolling stock is concerned, where this propulsion will also be used, again, I personally believe that, the days of the overcrowding of the trains and so on and so forth, they will be things which will be of the past. And I think that the world after Corona is going to be much more conscious of these facts of not having coaches which are overcrowded and so on. And that, of course, we are already seeing in Europe, for example, that they're talking about changing the norms of passenger loading in each coach. So sooner or later, that has to come in countries like India as well. And that would, of course, again, increase the demand for rolling stock. So the track remaining the same, we do expect that in the coming years, the demand for both freight and rolling stock is going to increase. And that's where we effectively have our business presence in.
Okay. What you're mentioning actually is something that's been echoed by other railway suppliers as well, about how, the railway book of their, of their entire business still seems to be pretty steady. So, Mr. Chowdhury, let's now talk about your overseas business. You had recently resumed some of your overseas business, Italian operations as well, especially after the tremendous outbreak of the virus that had taken place in the country. So let's talk about, overseas facility. How is that bit of the business doing? Are things, how far away rather are they from absolute normalcy?
You see, as far as the Italian business is concerned, the country has gone through a very, very bad patch on account of Corona. I mean, we've seen the kind of record number of casualties of fatalities that have happened in Italy. So we have reopened operations. The operations are coming back almost to normal. I would say that we have an attendance almost of 80-90% back in the plants. In terms of the tenders getting finalized, they have been delayed. So some of the tenders have been postponed. But we are now seeing that there is a big push from the government to kind of make up the lost time. And that is going to be quite important to see over the next few months how much of that really gets converted into reality. In terms of the performances of that company, apart from this COVID impact, I think the performance has improved. So last year we were till December on a EBITDA positive in the Italian operations, and we are pretty sure that we would be able to come back on the EBITDA positive very soon after reopening, which the reopening of the plant has happened just about a few weeks ago. And we should be back to normalcy in terms of production from July at most.
Okay, great. Thank you so much then, Mr. Chowdhury, for joining us, and good luck, of course, on this new project and this new venture with ABB. Remember, folks, they've entered into a pact with ABB to make a railway propulsion system. This is a strategic alliance. The system will be developed in 3 phases, and the stock price as well of Titagarh had seen quite a rally, once this news was made available to the equity market.